Bennett will go first, then Ms. Williams, then Colonel Glenn, and we'll have Anthony Graves ask the question.
Thank you, Edie. The United States Supreme Court is critical to our system of checks and balances. With the death of Justice Antonin Scalia, President Obama has nominated Judge Merrick Garland to fill the vacant seat. For more than 5 months, the United States Senate has not acted on the nomination. Should this nomination continue to be delayed until after the November election?
It should not. It should absolutely not be delayed. This is unprecedented in our country. This is when I hear you being sold a bill of goods, because this gets described as constitutional conservatism. People say we want to block somebody so that somebody like Justice Scalia, who's a strict constructionist, can be on the court. And then they ignore the plain language of the Constitution, which says the president shall appoint with the advice and consent of the Senate. George Washington had 3 vacancies in the 8th year of his presidency, and they were all filled. John Adams, after he lost to Thomas Jefferson, appointed John Marshall Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. And Jefferson never complained because he knew that was Adams' constitutional duty. It is radical to suggest that we should not hold a hearing and have a vote on the Supreme Court nominee. You can vote against that nominee, but you can't just say no because you don't have the majority that week. What happens next time when there's a vacancy and there's a Republican president and people come to me from a Democratic part of the state and say, don't you dare vote on that person? It would be considered an outrage, and it is an outrage, and it's not conservative. It's radical.
Well, if I was in U.S. Senate today, if I could be convinced this nominee is a strong supporter of our Second Amendment rights, that might be a different issue. I think I have some serious concerns about this nominee. And I think that the United States President has the right to act, to nominate the nominee, and U.S. Senate has the right to act, not to act on it. That's the Senate's job to decide if they want to act or not. So I think that I want to nominate somebody or even approve somebody who is strong on Constitution, who is strong on our all bills right, who is not judicial advocate, who will have no agenda going to Supreme Court but to uphold our Constitution, our individual rights, our freedom, our property. That's the person I would consider. Thank you.
Well, one, I don't deal with hypotheticals, so if he wants to resign and I can appoint, then I can make that decision. But it's one of these things where it's extremely important that when you're talking about a Supreme Court appointment, there's a philosophy, and you want to make sure that that individual that's going to be there has been properly vetted. Because I want to be able to go back into the background of that individual, because yes, I am an attorney too, so I understand the Constitution, so I'd love to be lectured to. But it's one of these things where it's important for you to be able to go back and look at the background of that individual to see whether or not they have been able to strictly interpret the Constitution. Because this is about fairness, ladies and gentlemen. Fairness works both ways. You want to be able to be held accountable to the rules and laws that are on the books. That's what's fair. What I don't like are judges that get up there and create a new arbitrary standard that basically take fairness away from one another. That's not right. So yes, I do want a strict constructionist. I do want a thorough vetting process. And the president did do his job, but it is up to the Congress, because remember, Congress is and especially the Senate, is a separate but equal branch of government. We have an opportunity, we have the ability to vet this person, because I want to make sure this individual understands freedom and liberty before I say that you're going to get a lifetime appointment. So I love the energy. We need more energy. I want more energy at a town hall meeting so that we can actually talk about issues.
Well,
Give the candidate his opportunity.
Yeah.
He has 30 seconds.
Because
Please give it to him.
Darryl has been very clear that he supports Mitch McConnell's blockade here. If we could have a hearing and it's not about Congress, it's about the American people being denied a debate about what the future of this country ought to look like and what the Supreme Court ought to look like, have a hearing. Then you're able to ask these questions about strict constructionists or not. But it's not a hypothetical. You've said it over and over again, just like you said you think the government should be out of health care altogether, I assume including Medicare, just like you said we should privatize the VA. So talk about saying one thing in one part of the state and another thing in another part of the state. We should have a hearing on this nominee. They should be voted up or down. This is the basic job of being a United States Senator.